peachiest broke their new song Butter, and you can see a little bit of the damage there. It's testing to make sure some of these weird modifications.
All we gotta do is hustle. All we gotta do is grind. Now they on their own. All they gotta do is shine. For more than 30 years. Now I'm super climb. Oh, we on the road. It's just me and mine.
Talked about it. BTS broke their new song Butter, so we decided we're gonna get Korean barbecue. Not very logical, but that's what we did. You know I gotta do this, right?
Y'all have fun. Your dress is gorgeous, honey.
For Korean barbecue, they bring you the various different foods, and you actually cook them yourself on this grill. So you get a chance to cook it to your taste and everything, and then they always started off with the starters. And there's the rice right there. So they just brought the food that we're going to be cooking. It's raw, so we got to watch cross-contamination, all that cool stuff. But it's ready to go. Alright, the grill is pretty hot. We got our first bit coming off. Most of the time, actually, we do the chicken last. But this time we did the seafood last. Finished up, got everything ready to go. We're gonna get up to go box and hit the road. Alright, so it is a non-traveling weekend for us, so you probably picked up on the pattern by now. We travel some weeks, and then some weeks, you know, the next week we usually don't travel and work on projects. And of course we have some projects to do because we did have that damage from the hailstorm. Probably we're gonna work on a few things, may even do some inside work because we do have a closet project that we've been putting off. We'll just have to see how that goes. We've got our slide toppers. So taking a look at a couple of YouTube videos, I believe this is a job we can do ourselves. It does take 2 people, and if you look over my shoulder, there's a couple of extra cars in the yard. That is because some of the kids are home, so we will take advantage of having the extra folks, a couple of ladders, and the YouTube videos to try to do this job ourselves. One of the first things we got to do though is we got to open up these slide toppers out of this box and make sure that they are the same measurement as the original ones. So that's always scary because these aren't original aftermarket parts. We bought them from the secondary site, so we're gonna see if that's right first. All right, so this slide topper should be the one that goes over the bedroom right here. This longer slide topper should be the one that goes just over our big slide out right up there. And you can see a little bit of the damage there in the corner. Slide toppers, one of them is the perfect size. That's the one that's over the larger room. The smaller slide topper that goes over the bedroom is too big. So I've got to research, like I said, figure out whether it's better to cut that or to just send it back and get another one. In the meantime, I've set them out in the sun so that we can get some of the folds and bends out of them. Hopefully the sun will flatten them out, and that should make it easier to do the install. All right, so the sun has been on the awning toppers for a little while, starting to get them nice and smooth. In the meantime, I took a little bit of a research break to take a look at the job again, and it looks like we could proceed. One of the things that you need to make sure is that the weather is good. I mentioned in the previous video, we're working with a weather company that makes software specifically for RVers, and I was able to take a look at the weather, and it looks pretty good. If it would have been a problem, I actually could have used that app to plan a route and predict the weather along that route, find another place to move Gerty to do the work. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Hopefully I can share a little bit more as that development gets further, but back to this project. One approach for dealing with this project is to slide, move the slide out just a little bit, and do the work from that location, taking the screws loose and then slowly sliding the old topper down the side of the RV, and then removing the topper from the slide bracket. Now this is a two-person job, but taking the slide topper off, especially since I'm not trying to keep it for anything, it was actually a one-person job in this case. But having done that, you can see the difference between the two slide toppers, the old and the new, and that gives you an idea of how we'll have to cut it. All right, so I've lined up the two slide toppers, the old and the new, and I have made a mark that indicates the length that I need the new slide topper to be cut to, and I use my tool here to get a nice straight cut. And this tool it's just a straight edge, but it's actually pretty special to me. This was my father's when he passed away. I got this, and when I have a job like this where it's a little bit tougher and I'm not 100% sure, for some reason, you know, when I use the tools that I got from Dad, it gives me a little bit more confidence to get the job done. So just one of those things, and yeah, hopefully it brings us luck. We'll see how it goes. All right, so we've just about got the new slide topper in place. This installation requires rivets, and so I've got to make sure I got those, and if not, I got to make a trip to the store. But so far it's looking pretty good. Be ready to test it in just a second. All right, so yep, skipped a little bit ahead in the action. We got the old slide topper awning off for the larger side, and now we're getting ready to put the new one on. Got both ladders in position. Had to flip Gerty around so that there's a little bit more space to work. But yeah, so far so good, and I think we're gonna be in pretty good shape here. Looks like a very fast job. I'm glad we took it on ourselves. So I got this second one installed. Looks pretty good. Got to test it, make sure it goes in and out properly, and yeah, call this job a wrap. All right, I can tell that the action on it is not as smooth as we want, and I think it's because I think the thickness of this fabric is a little bit more than the other, so it's rubbing up against the side as it goes out. So I'm gonna have to adjust that a little bit, but otherwise it looks pretty good. I think we're good now. We got just need another person to hold the adjustment while I put a self-tapping screw in. I think we're okay. I'll keep an eye on it, but right now we look good. Yeah, there's clearance between the slide topper and the side of the slide, so we are good. I'll check the other side and call this thing a wrap. All right, it looks good. A lot of people might actually wonder, what is the slide topper for? I think we skipped that part because it is important. I'm in the inside of Gerty right now, and if you take a look, this is what it looks like when the room is expanded or when the slide is out. Makes a lot more space in here, obviously. So it's great when you're sitting still. And the reason that you want a slide topper in place is because when you pull this room in, if you didn't have the slide topper outside, the water would build up on top of this movable room wall and would come into the RV. And that's what the slide topper stops. I'll show you what that looks like and where the top of the slide is when it's out, and you can see what I mean. Right, this space that's right up here is what is usually outside when the slide is out. And so that slide topper stops water and other debris from building up on the top when it's expanded. It's a little dark up there, but hopefully you can get the idea of what I'm explaining. So now it's in, and so all of this area up top would have water or whatever on it if a slide topper was not out. Same situation for the bedroom, but it's this space right up here above the bed. And so you could imagine if you didn't have the slide topper there, all the water or whatever would come down the sides and build up on the bedroom floor. Actually, that may have happened in the past because we actually replaced the entire entire floor of the RV, and we found where some water had come in. So that's how important the slide topper is. All right, now that we got that project out of the way, I had a small project I needed to tackle with Scooter, and also I had some folks that asked a few questions about Scooter. So I want to give a little bit more information about Scooter because we just really didn't talk too much about it. Showed a couple of the mods every once in a while when I first showed it. But it is a 2019 Coleman Scooter JL50. All right, so Scooter is a 2019 JL49 Coleman scooter. I'm showing you the website here because this is where the official information is. Scooter looks a lot different than what you see here on the website, but I did want to just show you some of the stats. You can pull this up yourself by going to ColemanMotorsportsUSA.com. Looking under products, you'll see the 49cc scooters, and this is where all that information is. We got Scooter last year, just about the same time we got Gerty. But we've done a lot of modifications, so I showed you the website, but you can see the differences when you look at Scooter now and some of the things that I've done to it. So one of the obvious things is that I've painted the seat black. We did that because what I noticed was that the tan color that we had on there was good looking, but it got dirty pretty often and I just couldn't keep it clean. So I just decided to paint it black. Also, you'll see that we added a shield, and that's just to keep the wind and some of the bugs off of you when you're riding. Another thing that I did that is different is I mounted a GoPro right here, so that I could capture video safely on the way. And also just mounted this was a project I finished today. It's the a phone holder. So that I had a previous one on here, but this is a little bit better. Only costs about $5, but it's a little bit better design. And one of the other mods that I've done, and it's not showing right now, is I've placed a case here. So if I want to carry more than what will fit inside of the seat, I can do that. Obviously, it's not very cleaned up, but just kind of gives you an idea of what the actual cleaning needs are. We ride with it on the back of our RV most of the time. I have tried to use a cover over it, but tends to be that the cover that I bought tears a lot. But we do ride with it on the back here. We brought this stand from Harbor Freight, and it does pretty good. It lets us put Scooter and one bike up here. About it most is that it's got this ramp that I can quickly unhinge and let down, and I can actually lift and roll Scooter off. Now I will tell you that this ramp is a little shorter rack than you would want, and actually the front wheel hangs off here, but it sits pretty nicely and stays on. We secure it and we haven't had a problem. There's probably a better way to do it, but I just wanted to show you how we carry it now, and this is what we do. I guess the reason that's important is because it's about 200 pounds. You can check the stats on the website, and lifting it up and down off of one that doesn't have a ramp isn't all that fun. Added a couple of racing stripes. The actual model number is GL50 QT-14. You can see that here, but you'll also see a lot of references to it as a GL49, so JL49, so don't be surprised about that. It did get caught in a hailstorm, so I actually got a little bit of damage there on the paint, but I think I could paint it, and I did get damage here on the seat from hail as well. But overall, it's pretty good. I got the license plate. The license plate, we got it. The tag for it was pretty inexpensive. I think it was about 20 or 30 bucks to get the tag here in Alabama. I did have a little bit of a struggle with lining up the holes. I finally got them lined up. No big deal there. I have laid it down once, I will admit it. You can see it actually got a little crack and scrape there, so I'll do some repair work there, but nothing that caused it to damage. It handles the weather okay, but you can actually see a little bit of rust that's starting to build up on it. So maybe keeping the cover on it would be a better idea. One of the other modifications that I did on it was this little holder here, this little cigarette lighter. This was because often we'd need to charge a phone or something like that, and it's just nothing on the scooter to charge a phone with or anything. So that is one we added. It wasn't too hard to do. I just took off this front plate right here, found a positive and a negative that's always hot off of the ignition. The cigarette lighter itself came from AutoZone, nothing special there, and I just soldered on the two connectors and it was good to go. So far I've had no problems. It's worked really great. Haven't used it a lot, but it's pretty good. When you first get your unit, there's a couple of things you need to do to put it together. You need to put on both mirrors. I said this is an accessory that doesn't come with it. You'll also need to put the battery on. Put the battery in and hook it up. It's just under here. It's a little dirty. Take these two screws out. The battery is a 12-volt battery. You hook that up. Seal everything back up. Of course, you'll check your oil and your gas, and you're good to go. Got about 521 miles on scooter, and that's actually the way we use it is we typically use scooter to drive from the campground area or around the campground area to the store, short distances. And so it actually took quite a while to get that much mileage on it. Again, we've had it for over a year, about a year now. And I'll tell you, the first break-in, the mileage is 150 miles the first break-in, and that is, you should travel no more than 15 miles an hour during that first break-in period. That's what the site instructions say. So obviously it took quite a while to get 150 miles on it at 15 miles an hour. So I spent a lot of time driving up and down the streets of the neighborhood. Neighbors thought I was a little crazy, but that at least got me to the next break-in period, so that wasn't too bad. I can't remember the exact numbers on the next break-in period, but it lets you get up to, I think, 25 miles an hour. And then ultimately, it only goes about 40 miles an hour on the speedometer anyway. But you can get a little bit more than that if you're going downhill with momentum. Not a lot of torque, 49cc. Haven't done any engine mods or anything like that. That's pretty much it. There's not a lot to say about it. Performance is good. It starts up pretty easily. Even if I haven't started it after a long time. I haven't had any major problems, knock on wood. It's pretty straightforward how to operate it. About the only thing I've had to do so far is to add brake fluid, which was pretty easy. I just removed these two screws, put DOT4 brake fluid in it, and you can actually see around here the meter, that's the actual, it's kind of behind the shield here now, but you can actually see the fluid level in there. Anyway, so that's about the only thing I really had to do to it. Now the mileage on it is pretty good actually in terms of gas mileage. It has a 2-gallon tank and you get about 40 miles a gallon, and so far that has remained to be true. I found that to be the case, so we barely have to put gas in it. I probably have only put gas in it 5 or 6 times since we've had it. I mean, it seems like we just really don't have to put a lot of gas in it. But at least enough gas to get us 521 miles anyway. But because it's so efficient, that's a really good thing. Again, that efficiency comes with the loss of power, obviously. So, you're not going to scoot up a hill at super high speeds. I've done a couple of test drives. You may have seen that on my other channel. I'll put a link to some of those extended drive videos. And I'll do just a quick video of me just driving it around the neighborhood right now. Okay, to start it up, here's the key. It's got a little hexagon shape on it, and that is so that you could actually lock and unlock the actual place where the key goes in. So that's pretty cool for a security feature. But you just insert the key, turn it to the on position, and it takes, the bike is in usually the off position there for the switch. I'm gonna cut it on. You have to pull back to disengage and press the button here, and at the same time, which is hard to do without the camera, you have to turn the accelerator. Okay, so that was just a quick short drive. I just wanted to show you a couple of things. The highest speed we hit was about 40 miles an hour going downhill. I'll show you a couple of more of the controls as well. Didn't really talk about any of those. Okay, so first of all, the light is always, the headlight is always on. The headlight is always on when it's turned on, but this is the control. You can have it either at a lower or a higher intensity. The blinker control is right here, left or right, and you press the button to turn it off. So it's either left, right, or off. This is the horn. Then of course this is the on and off button. That's the off position, that's the on position. And this is the to start it, along with the throttle in the on position. If the key were in the on position, it would start. Let's see, anything else? That is the major stuff that you would see. I do want to show you the storage under the seat. Now, there's not a lot of storage under the seat, but it is enough to make a quick run to the store and grab one or two items. I'll just pull everything out of it. We got a lot of junk in here now, but I want to show it to you empty first. I'll show it to you empty first so you can see it. It's a little dirty, but the whole thing is dirty. We've been in a lot of sand and stuff, so just forgive me, but here's the space. So if you had to put something in there, registration or whatever, just to give you an idea, this is my hand. It's not very deep, so you can just kind of see what we're talking about there. It has a locking, it locks when you close it, so you can lock your keys in, be careful. And this is the gas tank, goes right here. And like I said, it's a 2-gallon capacity there, unleaded gas only. You can see that written here. All right. So that is the storage under the seat. And since it's not that much space, I often put an extra storage unit back here, which is actually a modified cooler that I had. I painted it black and made it so I could mount it to the rack here, and that works out pretty good. Things that I put in the storage area is just a quick tire inflator. It says don't use it on motorcycles, I know, but if I ever get stuck, I need to have a way to quickly inflate it. That was especially a big deal when there wasn't a cigarette lighter on there, but I guess now I could actually put a small inflator in there that's 12-volt powered, and I could actually inflate the tire, because they do run down occasionally, not very often, but just want to make sure if I run into something that I have a way of inflating the tire at least. The only other thing that I tend to put in there is my helmet. I have a screwdriver, a pair of pliers, a couple other minor tools in case I ever have to do anything, and I just put that inside of my helmet holder. That's also in there. The reason I put some tools in there is because if when we're traveling, a lot of times I might have to tighten up a bolt, and especially I might have to take off the mirror when we put it on the back of the RV, so that the mirror isn't getting bent or hitting against the back of the RV. Sometimes I'll take that off. So it's good to have an adjustable wrench with you for dealing with that. It does come with one, but it doesn't really fit that, so I'm not really sure why they put it in there. But that's the stuff that I usually put inside. Also, nowadays with COVID, I do tend to put a couple of masks in there, things like that, but nothing major. Of course, registration, those types of things. Most of my insurance and stuff, cars, is digital now, but that's the kind of stuff that you could fit there. So you don't really get a lot of capacity. If you run to the store, you can't just grab a couple of things and, oh yeah, I need this and this too, because you don't really have anywhere to put it unless you add a rack on the back, and that's why I added that modification. Just gives me about another 4 gallons worth of storage space when I put that on. Oh, I do want to mention that the decals, the flame decals, are not stock. I just got those from AutoZone as well. Slapped those on there just to give it a little bit of character. It was all black once I painted the seat black, and I felt like it just needed a little bit of something to break up that monotony. But overall, I like it. If I do any more modifications, I'm probably going to add a hood over the top of it, because we have gotten caught in the rain, and a rain shield across the top would have been nice. And that might also keep some of the elements off of it and stop some of the chrome from rusting. But that's a project that I may do at a later time. I would still recommend it if you just need something to get around very short distances. I don't know, an emergency vehicle in case you need to drive around or something like that. It cost us about $1,000 to buy. We got 10% off for being Good Sam's Elite members. The insurance on it is only about $172 a year. So for me, that's what it runs for us. That's what it runs, $172 a year. And the upkeep on it is pretty small. So I would still recommend it if you just needed something and wanted to get around, and you didn't want to carry a full tow vehicle behind you or something like that. I think it's a good fit for that. I would recommend it. If you needed to go faster than about 40 miles an hour on average, I think that's when you want to go up to something a little bigger, maybe an 80 cc, something with a little bit more horsepower to it. But for what we're doing, this works out pretty good. Don't expect a whole bunch. And if you're going to go in and buy something and then do big bore modification kits, I don't know if you want to get into all of that. It may be better to spend the extra whatever to get one that's already got the performance you need. That's up to you. If you like to do that kind of stuff, then yeah, by all means go for it. I'm sure they got aftermarket parts. But I wanted to get this video out. Somebody had asked for it. Thank you for taking a look at the channel, and if you have more questions about it, just let me know. And that's my little cooler modification. And no, it's not a Coleman scooter product. In fact, it's an igloo cooler that I just painted black. Anyway, I just use that when I have to go to the store and get something that's a little bit bigger than what can fit in the storage area. So it gives me a little bit more capacity. And if I want to pick up some food or something, I just put it inside of this, and it keeps it warm till we get back to the place where we want to eat it. So yeah, there it is. And most of the time when you see me doing bike rides, it's testing to make sure some of these weird modifications that I've done don't cause any kind of problems, don't fall off, don't catch wind, cause too much drag or whatever. So you don't hear a whole bunch of footage about talking about them, but at least that's what's going on most of the time. So I just wanted to show you that, and thank you again for looking at the video.